Well, welcome to this third and final installment to our content creation series, basic content creation that is. And this time all we're going to do is we're going to upload some footage just to a smartphone, and then we're going to edit it using nothing more than free apps that you can download. And if you're lucky, you may even see me fall in the water. The footage I'm going to use today, it's just a few shots of me essentially doing what I have to do when I come in from using the outboard in salt water. I've got to give it a bit of a flush. So I'm going to take this camera out into the wind where you're not going to be able to hear much, and then I'm going to get a few little shots from different perspectives, some close-ups, and then we're going to see if I fall in the water when I bend over the side and attach the end of the hose to the motor. And then I can use that footage a little bit like we did in the last video, but it's going to be very simple. One of the things we won't do, I'll say up front, is we're not going to do much by way of putting a soundtrack on this one, because this is more the vlog style that I like to use, which is keeping it simple. So we've now got our footage on our smartphone, and in my case it's just a Samsung Galaxy S10, not a particularly new smartphone, but more than adequate. And what I do is I take a whole heap of these with me if I'm going away. So you have your mini SD card and your SD adapter, which makes it into the size of a normal SD, and that just goes into your computer like I showed you on the last video. Keep it in the adapter because it's just harder to lose. Take a load of them, keep them somewhere safe. And where do they go? Well, most phones, not all phones, some of the new ones don't, have a little slot that you use a device with a needle on. Safety pin would probably do, but there is a special device you can get, and you eject it by just pushing in the little hole, and you have your mini SD and your SIM card in that slot, and you can just change them out when they're full. Or if you have a specialist camera or an external camera, like a GoPro, a camera you really like using, a drone, something like that, then you can just get that specialist camera, eject the mini SD, and stick it in your smartphone in that way. It's just a good way of transferring the data before you start editing it. Yes, of course, if they don't have it, you're going to have to do it a different way. What apps do you use? Well, I actually don't use the camera app that comes on the phone. I use a different one called Open Camera. You don't have to, it's just something I found works for me. I always shoot in landscape, and I basically shoot, as I've said before, 1080p, 30 frames per second generally, and it works quite well. The same as the laptop, there are so many editing programs, or in this case apps. So do a bit of research, look on YouTube, see what videos are recommended, or I should say see what apps are recommended in the video. It's the same kind of search. Top free apps for Android or for iPhone, something like that. And what you'll probably find is you come across the same sort of apps getting recommended. I'm just going to touch on a few of these today. It's just an introduction. And the first one that you're probably going to come to is an app called CapCut, which is free. It's extremely intuitive. It is made by a company called ByteDance, the same company that is responsible for TikTok. So if you use TikTok, then it interfaces quite well with that. But I don't use TikTok, and I know there's some concerns with the privacy aspect of that. But then again, we live in this kind of strange geopolitical climate at the moment, so it depends on the individual. I'm not sure where I stand on that. But what I will say is that if you don't have an issue with using TikTok, then this is quite a good editor for that. My main concern is 15-minute limitation. So I generally try to get under 15 minutes, but sometimes I don't. And as soon as I started doing videos longer than 15 minutes, then CapCut was no longer an option for me. And you might remember the last video editing video was well, I think we were close or just over 30 minutes. So we needed to use something else. The next one I'll touch on is Velo, or VLLO. Intuitive. It's free or paid. So there is a paid option, and if it's paid, you've got two options. You can pay a one-off lump sum, which is just under $30. So still significantly cheaper than some of the very well-priced editors for laptops. Or you can pay a subscription. So if you're going to do the paid option, then I recommend that you just do the one-off payment. LumaFusion is the next one that I've heard a lot of people rave about. Loads of good reviews, and it's just a step up from CapCut and Velo in terms of professionalism. But what I would say is, while it's a step up, it's reasonably intuitive still. What you're going to find is it's probably a little bit better suited to a tablet. So, and that's just because there's more features to deal with, and it's a little bit more fiddly, I think is the term I would use, just to get the most out of it. That's not to say you can't use it on a smartphone, you can. But that's just a consideration. And for me, if I was going to use a tablet, then I'm 2/3 of the size to a laptop, so I'd probably just go to a laptop. It's another paid program, and you're looking at just less than $30. But again, it's not an exorbitant amount if it's an app that you really like. Another one I want to mention, because I always touch on Adobe products, some of them I love, and some of them I just get a bit frustrated with the subscription model. But Adobe Premiere Rush is a really good product. It is cloud-based. It can be used, however, across a number of platforms. So Android, iPhone, Windows, Mac, you name it. And it's incredibly seamless in that way, because you can be out and about, and you could start on the go on, just your laptop, or not your laptop, sorry, your tablet or your iPhone or your Android device, and then you get home and you just seamlessly transition to your laptop or your desktop, and you just keep going. The startup plan, there is a free startup plan if you have a free Creative Cloud membership. However, pretty soon afterwards, you're going to end up having to transition into some sort of subscription model. Try as I could, I couldn't find any free option where you just paid a lump sum similar to Adobe Premiere Elements, which is the program I use for my editing on my laptop. So for me, it looks incredibly powerful, but it's a deal breaker for me, unfortunately. So the editing that I do is on a different program, which is very similar to CapCut. It's very intuitive like CapCut, but it's actually called VN Video Editor. And that's the one I'm going to show you how to use now. So this is the app that I've been using for quite a while now on my smartphone when I'm doing really raw kind of editing, particularly when I don't want to put too much by way of soundtracks and audio overlays on. It's free, it's intuitive, it is reasonably powerful. In fact, I haven't even probably explored half the features, if I'm being completely honest. And there's lots of controls in the export settings, which not all of these apps have. What else? Well, how about I just show you? So go into the app, and once you're on this screen here, then press the blue button, and that should take you to another screen. And what you want to do is start a new project. So press that, and this is where you select the clips that you want to upload to the timeline. So I'm just going to select a handful of clips from here. So we're going to do that one. Then we're going to do that one there, which is a pre-prepared piece of video. Another one there. And just a few more. 1, 2, and that's 6. That'll do. 6 is fine. And then it takes us onto the timeline. All right. So the timeline is where it's a multi-layered editing slide, just like on the laptop computer. And I can move along by just dragging the finger across the screen. It's very simple. So starting at the beginning, I want to add a transition into the start of the clip. And all I want to do is do a fade to black, okay? Remember how I said before that I usually use very simple transitions. Fade to black, dissolve, and nothing at all. So fade to black, I'm going to do 2 seconds, and basically, or close to 2 seconds, and there it is. So if I play from the beginning.
Welcome to this third and final installment to our content creation series.
It's that simple, okay? It's just a smooth way of starting up. And the next clip I've got selected is a pre-prepared title sequence that you may have seen before. A little bit of deja vu here. And I'm going to do a fade to black between the 2 clips, the one at the start, the title sequence, and again, fade to black for 2 seconds will be more than adequate, give or take. It doesn't really matter if it's just a bit wrong. And what I'm going to show you now is I'm going to do an overlay. So once the standard keeping it real sequence is finished, you'll notice there's a big black area. Well, we want to put the name of the video down. And I'm just going to find the point where I should do that. So there's basically, wait for it, there's about, I think, 4 drum beats. Here it comes. And that's it on the 4th one. And that's where I want to do my title overlay. So I'm going to push, there we go, text. And what I'm going to do is the smallest text here. It's going to be, well, I want to edit it, but I want to change the font to something called Interbold. So let's just go and look for that. And there it is. And I think if memory serves, it's going to be in 16. That's the font size. So, whoops, just went to the wrong screen there. This is one of the problems when you've got a phone, that your fingers are going to occasionally take you to the wrong place, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do when I edit that is I'm going to basically put the title of the video. And what's the title of this video? As I say, this is going to be Deja Vu. I've shot this out of sequence and you would have seen this at the beginning, but essentially it's going to be basic, not bang, predictive text. You've got to love predictive text, haven't you? Basic editing. Actually, no, let's get it right. It's creating your own videos, isn't it? Videos, and then a space in between, and basic editing on a smartphone. That's the episode we're dealing with. Okay, there we go. And you also want to put that in the right place. So there's a series of cursor keys pointing in different directions, and I can move it around the screen. So if I want it at the top or the bottom or left or right, I could use this screen, but I want it right in the middle. All right, that's it. Okay, done. That's simple. So that should come out just at that last, and you can move these around, you can drag them around. And if I want to do that, I'll probably have to expand on the size. It's just easier to do. But if I let that play out, on the 4th note, we should have this come out. So let's just try it. And there it is. And all I want to do now is to drag that overlay pretty much to just before the next, where the next transition will be. And again, it's a bit fiddly. This is why some of these more advanced programs are hard to use on your smartphone. But this one is just, it's reasonably adequate that you can slide things around. So I'll select that clip and I'll just drag that cursor at the end just until it's just short of what will be the transition. That's about right. Okay, and you can see the next clip. And I might want to just check whether I need to trim any off that clip. Sometimes you do. So let's just let that play out for a second.
The footage I'm going to use.
That's fine. I'm going to put a transition, same again, fade to black, and yeah, the only annoying thing is it keeps going over the audio when you're talking.
The footage I'm going to.
Maybe I'll just turn that down because
the footage I'm going to use.
That's probably going to drive you absolutely mad. But that's close enough right there. Okay, there we go. So that will fade and the title will fade, and then we'll just go on to the next clip. See how quick it is to do it? And Now, the next clip is a really good one to look at as well because there's a big finger in the way. All right, and I actually want to edit that out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably use a couple of functions on here, a couple of features. First of all, I'm going to trim this piece of video from about there. I select it. I use the split button down the bottom. And you see how there's one of those pieces of video that's highlighted in yellow. I want to just move that so the previous one is selected. I'm going to delete it and it's gone. All right. So we go from that clip to the next one, and I'm ready to essentially put the hose onto the device which I'll put on the motor. But there is one other problem with this, isn't it? So I'll put a fade from black or fade to black, and then I'm going to add a bit more editing just to make this a little bit smoother. And I want to get rid of that finger at the bottom. And I won't say whose finger that is, but needless to say, that happens from time to time. And all you can do is you just grab that clip at the top, and you don't drag it down so much that you're going to have a big black line there, but you drag it enough and you make it a little bit bigger so that it's not to be seen. So if I now watch this clip, you won't see a finger and it'll be in the right place, and you should see me putting the hose on the, there we go, and done. No finger whatsoever in it. It's that simple. A little bit of editing. Well, the next video you see a big piece of finger, so we've got to do a little bit more editing there. But let's actually cut this out probably from later on. I think we can be. Let's not even put that video going. Taking the engine out of the water. Let's start from there. All right, select. And actually, you know what I'll do? I'm going to undo that. If you make an editing decision and you want to undo it, you just undo it. I'm actually going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to drag the clip. Again, you can do this on just about any editing program. You select it and you drag it, and just got to make sure that it does actually select it. And once you get it to the right place, which is just about there, nearly there, it's just like essentially using the cutting tool. All right. Again, we just need to be mindful of the fact there's a finger at the bottom. So I'm going to select the clip, stretch it, move it down, and lo and behold, that finger disappears. It's pretty good, eh? This time I'm going to use a different transition just to show you the differences. I'm not totally sure that I'm going to use the dissolve in the final clip, but for the purpose of this demonstration, we've used a dissolve, and it looks slightly different on the timeline. The only thing I'll say is when you're using this editing app, the dissolve is not as smooth as the fade to black, okay? Whereas on my laptop computer, it's actually pretty good. It's one of my favorites. And the last one is this clip here at the end, and I'm just going to get rid of that piece of footage at the beginning, and there we go. Cut. I'm going to select the bit I want to delete, and then all I'm going to do is add another transition. It's going to be a 1 second fade to black. Actually, no, we'll do 2, and there we go. And then at the end, one of the things you just have to be aware of, it likes to put in this automatic directed by input title. I never use it, so I just delete that out the way. What I do, and I'm not sure if it's at my fingertips here. Let's go looking at the videos, and I normally put this pre-prepared bit of video which has the credits for the piece of music I use in the intro. So let's select that, and that's the correct one. Take a chance, that's the piece of music that's in the intro, and I'm just going to put that at the end, and fade to black again, and we are pretty much done. All right, now all you have to do from here is basically output, or I should say make your video. All right, so lots of control in the export settings. As I've said, we're gonna go to the export settings. You can control the bitrate, for example, and if you're making a video that you want to upload to YouTube, you want it to be a reasonable standard, then yes, 1080p, highest bitrate, and for me I like it in about 30 frames per second. So I'm going to select these and I'm going to just put tick, and then what it will do is it will export the video, and it will I can then move it from the from the smartphone, and I can either upload it directly using the YouTube app, or I can copy it to my laptop and go from there. That's it. Video done. It's that simple. First things first, lift it out of the water. And that's just so I can reach it. Oh. There we go. And I'm just going to let this run now until the fuel in the motor runs out, because it's not connected to the fuel anymore in the caddy. And then I'm just going to lift the motor up while it's still connected to the running water. And yeah, that should be enough footage for this video. I'm going to finish off by just showing you how easy it is to create a thumbnail image that you can use on videos that you upload on platforms like YouTube. You can download an app which is free called PixelLab from the App Store. And once you've done that and you've opened it, you should be looking at something like this. From there, what I want to do, or what I like to do first, is just change the image size. And I'm going to change this to something more familiar. Which is a 16:9 aspect ratio, otherwise known as widescreen. Alright, from there I'm going to add an image from my gallery, and that's something I took a while ago. I've just changed that to 16:9. Actually, there didn't need to be much changes at all there. And all you do then is you stretch the image to fill that green area. And you know what? I mean, you could use that if you wanted to. If you didn't want any kind of other things on your thumbnail, that would be more than adequate. And some people do just use pictures, but it's a little bit bare. I'm going to add a few other things. Or, well, for the purpose of this, I think I'm going to add one other thing. And that is just simply a bit of text. So, what are we going to call this? Something really original. Really using my imagination here. There we go, sunset. Anyway, I think that's a little bit small, so what we're going to do is we are going to change that font to something a bit larger. And that's a bit better. And then I'm going to move it somewhere in the middle. And in fact, you can precisely put it in the middle by just using this function here. From there, I'm going to just change the color of the font to something, I don't know, we're talking sunset, so how about something in that area there, yellowish, orangish color. Actually, that's more yellow, isn't it? Let's go a little bit further down, that's better. All right, and I'm going to now go to style, I think, and just make that bold. And there are so many other things you can do here. There's all kinds of little tricks you can do. Oh, let's do 3D, shall we? It's a bit better. I think we're just going to leave it at that for the moment, because this is something you just need to get in and experiment with. And there's lots of videos online about all the little things you can do with this app. It's really quite powerful. So I'm just going to save this, and at this point we're going to pretty much end the video, and we're also going to end the series. I don't know if I'm going to do any more videos on this subject of basic content creation. Maybe the next ones I do down the track might be less basic in nature. But if you've enjoyed them, if you got something out of them, maybe leave a comment in the description, well, not the description box rather, but in the comments section. Yeah, I mean, I might consider that down the track. But for the moment, hopefully these videos were a starting point. You got into a bit of video creation, and from there, you will further develop that towards your own personal interests. So on that point, I'm going to end the video and end this series. Thank you for watching.